Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm continuing the same topic, that is SIP interview questions and answers. So the next question would be, what is the significance of ACK message? So if you are watching this video for the first time and you don't know about the previous one, go and check out on my channel. You will be able to find all the SIP related questions from question 1 to question 16. So I'm continuing the same series now. So now the next question is, what is the significance of ACK message? Okay, so the ACK technique is used to well-known final responses to invite requests. So whenever someone is sending, like client is sending invite to the server, the final response of 200 OK would be an ACK from the client. If 200 OK is coming from this side, then this one would be the final response 200 OK. The final response 200 OK, and this one would be the ACK. So final responses to all other requests are in no way acknowledged. An ACK may additionally incorporate an application / SDP message frame. So this is allowed if the initial invite did not contain a SDP message frame. If the invite contained a message body, then the ACK may not compromise a message frame. For 2xx responses, so if you're getting a 2xx responses from the server side, the ACK is stop to quit. That means, however, for all other very last responses, it's fired on a hop with the aid of hop basis, while stateful proxies are involved. So you can just ignore this one. So that means just for the 2xx responses, the ACK would be there. So it means, like here you can see, this is allowed if initial invite did not contain SDP message frame. If the invite contained a message body, ACK may not compromise the message frame, right? The next is, what is the significance of buy message? Or you will get a question like, what's the response of buy message if somebody is asking a basics questions. So what is the significance of buy message? The buy method is used to terminate a long time media consultation. Like if you are on call with one of your friend and you want to terminate it, then there is a buy message. And once you disconnect it, then there will be a buy message. So a buy is dispatched simplest by means of a person sellers participating within the session, never by proxies or different 1/3 parties. It is an give up to quit technique. So responses are best generated by way of other person agent, right? What is the, now this is the main question. What is the difference between dialogue and a session? So a dialogue is a SIP relationship first, and dialogue mean a call has already been set up in the signaling sense. And what does session means? Session is a media relationship. So here dialogue is a SIP relationship, session is a media relationship. That means if there is a media, then that we can call it as a session. If we do not have a media, then we can call it as a dialogue. I will show it to you in the upcoming questions with the help of an example, right? And like here you can see, a session means the media has already been set up in the media sense, right? After that, we have this one here. The next question here, ACK is directly sent to Alice's SIP phone to Bob's SIP phone, bypassing the proxies. Why? Okay, so I think I already discussed in my previous lecture. So the very first question was the simple call flow, and in that question I already discussed about this one. Why the ACK is going directly from Alice SIP phone to the Bob's IP phone? Why it is not going to proxy A, proxy B, right? So why ACK is going directly? Because it knows the contact information. Like here you can see, endpoints have learned each other's address from the contact header fields through the invite 200 OK exchange method, which was not known when the initial invite was sent. That means when this invite was sent, Alice's SIP phone doesn't know the details of this Bob SIP IP phone. So once it receives the 200 OK, then this Alice SIP phone knows the details about the Bob SIP phone. That's why it is sending the ACK message directly to the Bob's IP phone. Next, we have this max forwards. Max forwards is a mandatory header field in SIP, but why? What will happen if you make max forwards as a optional header. Okay, let's see. So this max forward header field. So I hope I have cleared this thing in my previous lecture as what does this max forward means. Max forward, if it is showing 70, that means it can go to up to a maximum of 70 hops, right? So max forward header field serves to the limit the number of hops a request can transmitted on the way to the destination, right? And max forward fields can be decremented by 1 at each hop. And max forward field is helpful to detect loop or retransmission, right? If max forward field would not be there, then it will be a loop as well, right? Next, we have what happens in below case after 20 seconds. Here it is showing expires header, session expires header. Okay, so this is here you can see, let me just go through this SIP message. This is an invite message, right? Via header, here you can see protocol, version, and the transport method. This one would be your like IP address or the host name. This one would be the branch parameter. Max forwards here you can see, which we already discussed, 70. That means it can go to a maximum of 70 hops. From or to header would be there, right? And then this call ID. Here you can see CSEC 314159 invite. That means this CSEC is this CSEC number 314159 invite means this is a CSEC number of this invite message. Contact header. Here you can see the contact header as well. Like if the other party wanted to contact me, where they can contact on this header, right? They will not contact on from or to, they will contact on this contact header. Then we have this expires timer, content type application, SDP and content, and this is related with the SDP methods. This content in 142 means this particular message contains SDP. And what is SDP? SDP means you have all the codec details, IP details, and all other things on which bitrate it works. All other details will contain in the SDP messages, right? So now here we are discussing about this expires. What happens in below case after 20 seconds? So the US core sets a timer for the number of seconds indicated in the header field value. Like when the timer fires, like when this timer expires, the invitation is considered to be expired because the timer already gone. If the invitation expires before the US has generated a final response, then 487 request terminate response should be generated. So client is sending an invite message which contains an expires header which is showing 20 seconds. So if US is not sending the final response within that 20 second, like before that timer expires, then this response should be generated, that is 487 request terminated. And the UAC core also sets a timer for the number of seconds indicated in the header field value. When the timer fires and UAC did not receive final response, a cancel request should be generated as well, right? It can send a cancel request as well. Now, this one, what is the difference between transaction, dialogue, and session? So this question will surely ask on your SIP interview question and answers, right? What is the difference between transaction, dialogue, and a session, right? So this is just an example, like a theoretical. I will show it to you with the help of diagram as well. So a transaction refers to fundamental unit of message exchange between the SIP user agent, consists of one request and all responses to that request. It basically includes a request response cycle. So what transaction means, let me tell you in detail. So like this is a user agent client and this is user agent server. So one invite is sending from client to server, right? Then server is sending 100 trying, then 180 ringing, then 200 okay. So these all four messages are, we can say that this is a single transaction. And once ACK is there, ACK is a separate transaction as well. And after that, once you have buy and 200 okay, like buy is here and then 200 okay, then this is also a transaction, right? So request response, that's why it is written in here as it basically includes a request response cycle. ACK is neither a request nor a response, that's why it is a transaction. This invite till 200 okay, this invite is a request and 200 okay is the response. And here buy is a request and 200 OK is a response. That's why this is also a transaction. Now, next thing, dialogue. Dialogue is a peer-to-peer relationship between two user agents. It is usually created through generation of successful final responses, right? Whenever there is a successful final response, then that means this is a dialogue. That means this is a dialogue, right? Dialogue as well as session as well. So these both things work simultaneously, I can say. Session refers to the exchange of media between two or more in. So if there is a media already established between these endpoints, then we can call it as a session. If there is no media, but there is a successful final responses, then we can call it as a dialogue. I will show it to you with the help of examples. Then these things will be clear to you, right? Like this one. So here invite is coming from Alice to Bob, then 100 trying, 180 ringing, 200. Okay, this is a single transaction, transaction one. Then egg is there. This is a transaction two. Then we have buy and 200. Okay, this is transaction three. Now you know what is transaction, right? Now here comes dialogue and a call session. So here it is showing the same thing as a dialogue and session. So if the media session is established, then we can call it as a SIP call session. If media is not established, then we can call it as a dialogue, but there should be a successful final response. Now your next question would be, if it is showing all the successful final responses, which contains the transaction as well, how can we call it as a dialogue? So let me show it to you. So this is no dialogue scenario, like this is just a transaction only, no dialogue scenario, because there is not a successful final response. After 100 times, there's a 46 busy, right? Now let me show you the proper dialogue scenario. So this is a dialogue without a SIP session. So now, according to this diagram, we can call this diagram as a dialogue, but not a SIP session. Why? Because there is no media and there are final responses. That's why we can call it as a dialogue. Here you can see invite is there, then 100 trying, 180 ringing, and after this 180 ringing, this is sending 200 OK, and this is sending a cancel request, right? This is sending 200 OK, this is sending a cancel request. So this is the final responses already there. Now, if you get this one, then it is sending a buy method, buy request, and there is a response of 200 OK. That means this is also a final response. This is a final response, but there is no media in between. That's why we can call this as a dialogue, but without a SIP session. We cannot call it as a SIP session. This is a dialogue. Next, we have what is the difference between call transfer and call redirect? This is the question usually asks. So in call transfer, the user agent first establish a dialogue with the callee, then initiates setting up a new dialogue between the callee and the another user agent, right? So call transfer, that means there are two things, like if they are calling, if they are communicating with each other, like A is communicating with B, and they want to like A want to transfer the call to C, like this is C. So what A will do, A will first establish a call. So already A and B is communicating with each other. Now A wants to transfer it. Now then what A will do, A will first establish a dialogue with the callee and then initiate setting up a new dialogue between callee and another. So first it will establish a dialogue between this, then it will establish a dialogue between B and this C. This is called transfer. In this transfer, A is contacting C once it receives the call, and then it will initiate a transfer. Then like A will initiate a transfer between B and C. But in call redirect, the user agent doesn't answer the call, but inform the callee to resend the invite to another SIP URI, right? So the callee is like the caller is in the redirecting, it is just redirecting it to the other person, right? That person will not, like at that particular point of time, it is not answering it. It is just informing the callee to resend the invite to another URI. Like A and B is there, and A wants to redirect the call. He will just tell you, like he will just tell the colleague, that is B, to resend the invite to this particular person, resend the invite to C. It will answer or not, that's not a job of A. It will just give you the details like the SIP URI for the particular C user, right? That is a redirect. That means like in call transfer, the user agent first establish a dialogue with the caller. That means it should answer the call. The new person should answer the call first in call transfer. And in call redirect, it will just tell the callee the information of the other person, that the third person, right? And you can just resend an invite to the third person with the help of SIP URI. Then that will be a call redirect. Now, next question we have, what are the use of provisional responses? Like 100 trying, 180 ringing, both are provisional, and what are the major differences, right? So provisional responses, these are informational responses which are used for informational purpose, and they stops the further retransmission of invite by a US, right? So if user agent client and user agent server is there, right? If client sends an invite message, but it is not receiving anything from the server. So from if we check it from the according to client's perspective, this user agent client's perspective, he doesn't know whether that invite message is being received at server side or not. That's why they are sending 100 trying and 180 ringing. So after 100 trying, why it is sending 180 ringing? That so server is telling to the client, okay, I am working already, do not send another invite. That's why. So these are used for informational purpose, and it is used to stop the further retransmission of invite by a user agent client, right? 100 trying responses indicate that request is received by the next hop server. That's what I told you, and stops retransmission of invite by a client. 100 trying responses is different from other provisional in that it is never forwarded upstream by a stateful proxy, right? Now we have 180 ringing. 180 ringing response is used to alert the user agent, that the caller party, that other UA is receiving the invite, right? And 180 ringing creates early dialogue state, but 100 trying doesn't, right? So 180 ringing creates early dialogue state, but 100 trying doesn't, because it's just an informational. Like both are informational, but 100 trying is doesn't create early dialogue state, but 180 ringing is creating it. Okay. Now the next would be, what's the difference between both the schemes? Like here you can see SIP username at domain.com, and then we have next thing, that is SIPs username at domain.com. Both are same, looks like the same. There's a difference just SIP and SIPs. So SIP uses universal resource identifiers, that is URIs, for identifying users, right? A URI identifies resources on the internet, and those used by SIP incorporate phone numbers or names in the username, right? At the beginning of this is SIP, which indicates the protocol being used. This is similar to website address, right? Which begin with HTTP to indicate the protocol to use when accessing the site. It's just the same as HTTP and HTTPS, SIP and SIPs, right? When the beginning of the address is with the SIP, that means transmission is not encrypted. Keep that thing in your mind. Those beginning with SIPs, it requires encryption for the session. It works the same way as HTTP and HTTPS. That is, HTTPS is secure. That's why those beginning with SIPs, it requires encryption. That means it is more secure, right? Next, we have, what is an early media? So this question would be there, like early media, early offer, delay offer. These questions everybody will ask in the SIP interview. Like in the interview, if you're working on SIP, they will surely ask these questions. What is early offer? What is delayed offer? What is early media, right? So if you haven't seen my video on early offer versus delay offer, then you can go and check out my video on early offer versus delay offer. Now here I'm talking about the early media, right? So early media refers to media, example audio or video, that is exchanged before a particular session is accepted by the cold user, right? Like this way, invite is there, then 100 trying is coming, right? Then after that, instead of getting 180 ringing, it will send a early meeting, that is 183 session progress. So if 183 session progress is coming, that means, and with SDP, that means it is an early media. What early media means? Early media refers to media that is exchanged before a particular session is accepted by the cold user, right? So it is not accepted yet. Before a particular session is accepted, that is an early media. Like whenever you call from your cell phone to another cell phone and you just hear the hear any audio or any caller tune instead of a ring, that is a early media, right? So within a dialogue, early media occurs from the moment that initial invite is sent until the US generates a final response. Early media is before a final response. It may be unidirectional or bidirectional and can be generated by the caller, callee, or both. Examples of early media generated by the callee are ringing tone and announcements. You can say announcements, queuing status. Like there is an announcement. Early media, that's what I gave an example earlier. Early media generated by the caller typically consists of voice commands, right? Or DTMF tones to drive interactive voice response system. Like if you're calling to customer care and it just says without a ring, thank you for calling this customer care and that press 1 for 2, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press this for this. That is DTMF tones to drive IVR systems, right? These are the voice commands. So this would be the end of the questions related to the SIP. If you have any queries and if you have any other questions, you can just let me know in the comment section, right? I will surely answer your queries. And if you want to schedule a time with me, you can just go to this link topmed.io/Rohan_Virmani. And there are few of the membership that I'm offering. You can go and check it out by clicking on the join channel on the YouTube. I hope you really like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel if you really like it. And please press the bell icon so that you will receive notifications of my upcoming videos. Thank you.